I'm just going to Alt right click this ring in vertex selection mode and bring one of them back. Now we don't have that weird overlapping geometry situation. And I'm just going to dissolve this whole edge. So dissolve edges. Make sure you're in edge selection mode, so you just have that ring selected. Dissolve edges. There we go. So now that we have that cleaned up a little bit, this should be a little bit easier to work on. And I'm just going to try to follow this topology here. Now, I don't think we need quite so many edge loops over here. So I can take maybe like all these middle ones and dissolve them. But then again, maybe we don't want to do that. I'm just trying to figure out what the cleanest way to resolve this area would be. I'm going to scale them in. And I think that something like this would be good. We could use the two inner edge loops as the basis for the inset, and I think that'll be a good way to go. So this edge loop here is going to be the raised outer edge, as well as this one, and then these guys essentially will be right up next to them, but in the x direction. So like this way, we can bring them in further. So I'm going to grab this point and control right click my way across to here, and then do the same thing on this edge. I guess we have to line up this edge first. Control right click, control right click. And then so this one in the very middle will be unnecessary. That's okay. So we can bring these up. So now if I take all of these faces here and push them in, it should just kind of naturally work. So if we look at this reference image, it is backward. We can flip this over. Now we've got this piece lines up with that guy. It comes back and goes down like that. So this needs to be a little bit rounded, and the whole thing needs to just look more metallic. So these should be a little bit more straight. And this needs to come up a little bit, I think. So I'm just going to hit S and Z to scale that in. Bring these up and scale them down. And later we can take this whole edge from here to here and bevel it. But for now, to keep things simple, I'm not going to do that quite yet. I can Alt-right click this ring and extrude it forward to there. And then now we have to kind of just repeat this whole process here. Should be a little bit easier this time around. There we go. And actually, I'm going to move the whole wing back to there. Alright, so now I'm going to Alt-right click this ring. Actually, I guess I just want from here back to here. And Control B to bevel. And same thing here. Alright. Now there is kind of a cutout here, so I'll create 2 more edge loops and one up here on top, if it'll let me. There we go, like so. And here, and I'm just going to take this face and extrude it back. Actually, you know what? I'm going to Shift D. No, I'm going to delete this whole face. So delete faces, delete faces. I'm going to take this vertex and extrude it down to here, and then just recreate the faces manually. So Control right click face. Same thing on this side. Z, E down to here, Control, right click face, Control, right click face, and Alt right click F to create a face. And now we have that inset region. And we actually did not actually have to add any geometry there. If I had extruded it backward, it would have added 4 more vertices. But doing it that way added nothing. No overhead. So now I'm going to hit X, and I want to dissolve these edges. So let's make sure we're in edge selection mode for that. X, dissolve edges. Those weren't doing anything. And I'm going to want to bring this face forward and bevel these 3 edges here. And I almost feel like this face needs to come forward even more. Delete faces. Delete faces. I'm going to create a face here, and then I'll right click and face there. And I don't know why my rotation is acting like that. It's definitely rotating a lot more than I mean it to. Okay. So that looks a little bit better. That's a little bit cleaner. And now we just have to round this top edge. So for that, we can actually just move these down. Now it looks rounded. If we want to, we can move these as well. I like it when you can make things look rounded without actually adding geometry. So a lot of the time you're just better off doing it manually as opposed to adding the subdivision surface. If we had added a subdivision surface here, it would more than double the geometry, and it would make it harder to make these hard edges. Not that the edges should actually look that hard. Now I'm trying to decide if I want to add these holes right now. We should add this piece. It is cut out a little bit here as well. And if this looks too hard, one thing we can try is just smoothing out the faces. And I've had mixed results with that. You have to use it in the right context. But I think that if we did it just on the middle pieces, it would look pretty good. But there's a certain level of finesse to that, and I think that it would take too long to do it well here. So why don't we add this part? So I'll create a wing loop here, and then just grab some of these top faces. E to extrude. Initially just to there. Why don't we move these vertices back? And then box select all these vertices and extrude again. And actually, there's so much geometry here. Why don't we take advantage of that? So I'm going to move these over. And we can reposition all of this. Except for these three. These ones have to stay where they are. But these three can be moved out of the way. Like so. There we go. And now we can bring down these outer edges to make it look rounded. And I'm going to position the 3D cursor over here. So cursor to active. And then I'm going to grab everything and just do S, and we'll make sure we're on 3D cursor as the pivot point. And then S, X, and scale in. And I'm going to try to smooth these edges selectively. So I'm just going to click on Smooth the Faces. And that worked pretty well. If I hit Control Z, you can tell how much of a difference that made. Control B to bevel that. And some of these faces need to be flattened out as well. So if we look at this reference image, right here we've got this flat face. And then right here it's rounded. But after that it should be pretty flat. So I think that's actually this part. It's kind of hard to tell. Why don't I go into side view? Yeah, so that's flat right there. So we've got round, flat, round, round. Round, flat, round, round. Yeah, that checks out. So why don't we grab this through here, S, and now we want to be in median point for this. SX, bring it in.